Creating a business is very easy, but creating a successful business is what makes the process difficult. But if you know these three things, you can surely create a very successful business. The first thing is about funding. Most of us, even I in my older days, thought that if you want to create a very successful business, you need to have a huge funding. But that's wrong. Businesses like Zoho and Zerodha, they started off with no funding from external sources. They funded their business by themselves, and that process is called bootstrapping. And I too started my first business by bootstrapping. When I was just stepping on to the business world, I was running around grabbing those funds. But what the issue is, you are just wasting time running around for the funding, because funding is not easy to get, and it takes a lot of time. In business, you have to get experience as fast as possible and understand how these things work as soon as possible. So the next natural question is, if you don't have money, how can you start a business? You can. There are a lot of business models, especially the online businesses, that you can start without money. For example, you have some skills like graphic designing, or you know how to create websites, then you can confidently start service businesses. How to start that? Just contact some businesses that does not have a website. Just open up your map, Google Maps, and you can notice there are a lot of businesses, and notice how many of them have websites, and contact those who doesn't have a website and ask them if they want a website, and you can create it at a very affordable price. And there you go, you have started a business right away without even investing a single penny. And likewise, you can start a graphic designing business, a logo designing one, like that. Whatever skills you have, you start a business with the skills. And if you have a very innovative idea to create a product business, for that you need fund. So you can start off by doing these service businesses, raise a little bit of money, and reuse this money to start your own product business. Like that, you can start your business by funding it by yourselves. You don't need to run around for funding, because great funding doesn't mean great business. It's all about how well you do, how deep you are going to understand your customers. That's all it matters. While speaking about that, I want to tell you about the second thing. Difference between a logo and a brand. A great logo doesn't mean a great brand. Logo and the brand name are just there for the customers to identify your business. That's it. It doesn't mean anything to your customers. All that means is what your brand stands for. For example, what is Tesla? Tesla is not a car company. It stands for innovation, right? Yes. Rolls-Royce, is that a car company? No, it just sells you luxury. It stands for luxury, right? So likewise, your brand should stand for something. And there is a technical name for this, and it is called brand positioning. What does your brand stands for? Do you know when purchasing happens? I'll tell you an example to let you understand this better. For example, you have a watch brand. How can you start a watch brand? You have manufactured some watches or bought some bulk and rebranding it in your brand name and trying to sell it. Will somebody buy from a random brand name? Why should they buy from you? Will they buy from you, or will they buy from some greater brands like Casio? When people are coming to buy from you, the first thing they will be asking is the price. So if someone else is giving the same watch for a lower price, they will get the business, and your brand is not known. So people will not buy from you and buy from a better known brand, because their brand name is very well known. So why does some brand names are very well known and others are competing just for the prices, the lowest prices? If your brand name doesn't stand out, you will need to compete with the prices. That is the fact of the market. But if you choose to fight with the market on the lowest price, you can. But if you want to stand out and make your brand name a very well-known brand, then you have to understand this brand positioning. For example, you wanted to start a watch business, but you are a new brand. So obviously you have to compete with the market on prices. You must be the one who is selling watches for the lowest price. But is that a sustainable business? No. If you want to become a very well-known brand, then you have to understand the brand positioning. For example, let's say that you are going to focus on adventure. How can you position your watch for that? So I'll give you an example for an ad that you can create. Let's say that you are showing a cyclist, a very competitive one, and it is very adventurous. So the one who is running in the first position is wearing your watch and the water is splashing on it. And there you can show that this watch is waterproof. And also the cyclist is moving forward. Then some stones are hitting on it. Then you can say the glass is unbreakable. Like that, you have established that it is meant for people who love being adventurous. So all the people who are adventurous, when they think about buying a watch, the first thing that comes into their mind will be your watch. That is how important brand positioning is. So then you don't need to compete for prices. You can decide the price for your products. After understanding brand positioning, the third thing you have to understand is the 20-80 rule. So what does this rule say is that the 20% of causes are responsible for creating 80% of the results. In business, the 80% of results are caused by a single thing called marketing. Many new businesses, especially the first timers, think that the product is important, but it's not like that. The marketing is the major one. Like I said in the example, you can sell simple watches, but how you market it decide its value. It just shifts the value of your products incredibly high. So you have to understand about this theory in very depth to create a very successful business. So I created a separate video explaining how it is. In this video, I'll tag it here.